everybody, and welcome to this op5 webinar, Set the Right Priorities with op5 Monitor. My name is Danielle, and I'll be hosting the webinar today alongside our CTO, Jan Josephson. Before we get started, let me just run through some things that are good to know. We have a chat available to all participants, so feel free to ask questions or make comments at any time during the presentation. We only have 30 minutes to cover a lot of topics, so if we don't have time to respond to your questions today, we will definitely follow up after the webinar. The webinar is also being recorded, and the recording and presentation deck will be made public and sent out to you in a few days. All right, let me introduce Jan. He will be diving into op5 Monitor's business service management features and showing you how BSM can help you set the right priorities for your business, including a live system demo. Welcome, Jan.
Thank you, Danielle. Let me see if I can get this application to work to start with. Here we go. Let me just take down that. Let's go over here. Okay. Can I just get some quick chat that everything? Yeah. Okay. You're hearing everything? Okay. Perfect. Okay. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining in. So we've got about 30 minutes, and I'm hoping to show you and get to a point where you can start looking at how to utilize the BSM part of our product, basically. My name is Jan Josephson, as Daniel said, and we'll just get started and we'll take it from there. And again, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to use the chat. If we can't respond directly, we will follow up with a Q&A and make those answers public through our knowledge base in a couple of days. Okay, right. So what I wanted to try to cover today is just go through, why BSM? What can it do? What can it do that adds to, all the other things that we can do? Some of the basics. Talk about the business perspective. If you call it a business perspective, I would actually also call it like the service delivery perspective, because at the end of the day, that's really one of the key features of BSM is to being able to map the service delivery process of any IT services, basically. We'll dive into a demo, just showing it how it looks, in a real application world, and then just sum up and also show you a few next steps where you can find information on going further, setting up your BSM logics. Right. So that's the plan for the next 30 minutes. So I'll just kick up from there. Okay. Now, to start off at some point, and I would like to say this also, is that we have a mixed crowd today. I'm not, there are participants on the call that I know are running op5 monitors since many years, which is great. But we also have participants that are not running the product at all. So we will be covering high and low, and I hope you can all live with that, and we'll follow it up afterwards, basically. So anyway, talking about business service management, I think the true value of starting to work from this perspective is we all know that these systems can generate many times way too much information. It's the core essence of the monitoring system. It creates and monitors and visualize and alarms events of all kinds from the whole stack. Now, what the BSM does is that it takes all these events and it gives you the ability to actually put them in your process. And then instead of looking at all the different events as singular events, it'll actually help you to show the service delivery part of it. And this, I'll show you this later, but obviously both of these information flows are important. The technical events are very important for the sysadmins of the network, of the databases, of the web servers, or whatever. But at the end of the day, there is also a system owner that might not be interested of all the details. You just want to know if the service is operational or not. And I'll get back to you on that. And that's exactly what the BSM does and delivers. Now, having said that, then obviously it also can be like a bridge between a technical part of your operation and the business part of the operation, because they can actually look at the same information but from two very different angles and get value out of that information. The third thing I think also is obviously reduced downtime. When you start looking at your technical events, but from a more service delivery point of view, then it's easier to prioritize correctly. So if a certain technical problem occurs, it's good to see if there's a database and that database is utilized by a number of different services. It's nice to see the priority orders of what services is the most important currently, and add your resources to that. And again, doing that will obviously, hopefully, decrease cost and by that also decrease risk, because you want to make sure that the most important services are handled first. So that's really, top level. This is why we want to invest some time to actually learn a little bit more about BSM. Now, some of the basics, just because we're not all, we don't all have many years of op5 Monitor. So in Monitor, we talk about hosts. So the hosts are devices or IP addresses. It could be server, a switch, a printer, etc. And you know that you can create something called a host group, and this is something that this has been done for some time, many years. And the same thing for every host or device. There are a number of services that we monitor. It can be current users, disk users, ping on a server. It can be on a printer. We can monitor. In this very simple example, we're just monitoring toner levels. And for this, we can then create what we call service groups. So this will enable us to do host groups and service groups, and this gives us some visibility and manageability in terms of cherry-picking services and put them together in a group to look at the group's overall status. But it's one dimension because it's only looking at it from a technical event perspective. Here's another way of looking at it. We've got Site A, Site B, Windows service, Linux service. This is basic, but from a grouping perspective, we can create host group Windows service. So we take all the Windows service on Site A plus the Windows service on Site B. That'll become a group. We can look at it from that perspective, or we can look at the OpenStack group on Site A, or just the switches. You understand the concept. So this is something that you can use and you probably have been using for some time. Now, with the business service management, what we fundamentally do is that we create a tree structure where we can take any host, any service, any host or service group, or multiple of host or service groups, and we put it into a tree structure. And every step of that tree structure, and I will show you shortly, we have the ability to put in logic. So we can, for example, say at least 2 out of 3 must be okay for this group to be okay, or I want to report the best state or the worst state of a single step. And within the tree, this logic accumulates up, and I'll show you soon. But this is the basics of BSM, is that there are basic mathematical equations that you can add to every step. So to make a very simple example, let's talk about an email system. Of course, you can monitor your Exchange server, and that'll tell you that your Exchange server is working. It does not tell you that your email service is working. Obviously this can be, and it is usually a lot more complicated than this, but just so you understand the concept, we have mail servers, we have an AD, we have spam filters, network routers, gateways, the ISP, whatever. All of these needs to work together in order for us to understand that our email service is actually fully functional. Now, this is a simplified view. Usually you have a redundant mail server. You can have multiple networks, you have redundant ways out, multiple routers, and the way the basics of BSM works is that, let's say in this example, one of the mail servers are down, two of the whatever network switches are down, the router is down. The BSM rule here is that, on the mail server, we have a rule saying as long as there's more than one working, then it's okay. Same on the network, same on the router. So on the very far right here, you will see, email BSM equals worst state, status is okay. We have technical problems in this environment right now, that's for sure. But it's not affecting our email services. Okay, right. So I hope you're still awake, and so that we can look at this more from a practical point of view and stop looking at PowerPoint. However, I still need to show another slide before we get into the system, and that's just a little bit of what we're going to look at now. Since mid last year, we have a service called op5 Live. It's a SaaS service that is a complementary service to our on-prem. So you can get into the op5 Live service, and then you can actually seamlessly integrate the event flow and the status from your live service into your everyday on-prem op5 Monitor monitoring. And the good thing with that is that you get an outside view on your public services. Now, the way we've set this up is that we're running it with one of our partners, City Networks. So we basically have, this is the inside view of this service. So we have a data center here, which is in Stockholm. We have a secondary data center down in Karlskrona. And we have, the Node.js servers. They are sort of separated, of course. We have the MongoDB servers. We have the op5 Monitor peer systems set up. We have pollers, one in the US, one in Stockholm, one in London, and one in Frankfurt, so that you can choose where you want to execute your checks from. And then we're using some third-party, we're using Stripe for payment services, and we have integrations to our Salesforce, and we're using SendGrid for the notification emails. And so this is the setup. This is the system, and I'll now switch and go over onto the actual system. So here I am now. I'm actually running the Monitor Live, our own internal monitoring system for this, and I'll just go here quickly into the. I'll just show you the. So this is going into the Nagwiz map, the dashboard of the system. So you recognize yourselves now. So now we're in the sort of the live system, and you have all the the different checks that we are running on the different machines, applications within the service. And you can also see here that we actually do have a warning here on one of the Node.js servers at the moment. But up here, I actually have the BSM group. The BSM group, which tells me that even though we have technical problem, and actually right now it's kind of a clean picture, but the service delivery is actually okay. It's not. We're having problems down here. Actually, things can be very red down here, but again, it's not affecting the service. So from my perspective, as I'm not in the everyday operation of this service, this is the one that I look at all the time, because this will tell me if I have serious enough problems that is actually affecting my service. So going in and looking at this more in detail, I'll go into the business service here, and I'll just expand these trees. I'll minimize this, and I'll show you a little bit how. So this is the tree, the tree structure. We have the op5 Live, which is the top level of the tree, and the tree is built up upon these underlying services. And as you can see here, this is the access part of the service. We have a simple ping on proxy, proxy, and the rule here is actually to report up worst state. So anything below here that is not okay, it'll actually just report up worst state. If you look up here for the databases, for example, the rule here is that at least 2 out of these 3 databases needs to be okay. If it's 1, then it'll actually turn into a warning, and if there's none, there's going to be critical, and it's going to actually affect the top layer BSM rule. So and the way it looks, if you actually go into it from an edit perspective, you will see that this is the rule. The rule is set to at least. So that's the basic rule. It needs to be something at least. The name of this particular group is databases. I say that I want to have 2 okay. If there's only 1 okay, I want to have it's going to be a warning. And in this case, it's actually numeric. I can choose to use percentage here as well. So that's the very simple way of setting up the basic rules. And I can also obviously add elements to this. And the way that looks is that, again, this is the interface that you get. You first decide what the step of the tree is going to have as a general rule. At most, worst state. You can use scores. We have customers that have actually done some pretty sophisticated stuff here, where they're scoring their services, and by putting in a score, it's a free numeric field. So you can actually, on your own, decide, whether one service is more important than another service, and it obviously will take that into account as we go into the reporting stuff. Best state, at least, simple at least, and then, as you can see, you just add whatever things that you want to have included in this particular step. And what's also interesting here is that we can have a group in group. So we can have one BSM group being part of another BSM group. So it's not that we want to make it complicated, but if you have sophisticated processes where a lot of dependencies are, we usually can actually do it with these basic step of ruling with the algorithms that we have. Okay, so again, as you can see, the op5 Live, we have a problem here on the Node.js as we saw earlier. It's been there for about an hour and 4 minutes, but it's 1 out of 3 or 4 actually. So it's not hitting my service. And the way the way you start this is basically you start up here, where you define, if you want to make a new business service, then you just go here, you select the top level, and then you start adding in your different objects and rules depending on each step. And as you can see here also is that every step has its own rule, and it all aggregates up to the top level, where in this case we've actually chosen worst state. So this is actually saying I want to have the worst state of these different. So application is okay because it's only 1 out of 4 that's okay. It's not okay. Database is okay. API is okay. Access is okay. And core is okay. So worst state up here right now is green. Everyone's happy. Okay. Now, and what we've also done is that there's also a widget connected to business services. So if you're really not interested in any of the details, you can actually just have your business service widget showing op5 Live is okay. I'm happy. I don't need to understand more than that. At least not from my perspective, but for obviously for sysadmins working with the technical part of things, there's a whole lot more information that needs to be done. Another key benefit of BSM is that it becomes a normal op5 monitor object, which means that you can do reports, notifications, and all the typical output that you want to have. So, for example, if I want to do an availability report, then I can have an availability report, BSM report all objects. And so this is the BSM report. You have it in your in your settings, that when you create your report, you have this one called include BSM events. And that will give you the details in the report, including the details from your BSM outputs. So here we have the BSM report, availability report, and actually we did have something that affected the services. It was last night, six minutes past midnight. And it's okay actually, because I know we did a snapshot there, so that's okay actually to have that. We know that was happening. So, but it gives me one alarm for this 24-hour, or for the last whatever we're doing here. It's actually the last 7 days, and I can just quickly quickly compare that to if I do a summary report of the top hard service alert producers, just showing same time period, last 7 days. I'm not going to do the math here, but we're looking at about 200 minimum alerts that has happened within the system due to different things, but actually just one event that actually affected the service delivery. So that'll be the alarm that I would be wanting if I have the notification of that. Okay, so I'm gonna leave the application now, because so we keep on time here, and hopefully you can see that again. Actually, this is I did a snapshot. This I actually did earlier today, because we did an upgrade on the peers, and as you can see in this particular case, we actually had multiple problems with many of the including objects from the environment, but the service was never affected. Went into warning, which is, I need to look at it, but it didn't affect our users on the service. Sorry about that. Right. So to sort of put this in a wrap, you have all this information. You have your agent based, your agent less, you have traps, logs. You've got all these events flowing, and the whole idea here is to your process. So map your process. So that you understand where things are going and what should be happening, in a perfect world, and then add the BSM logic to each step of those, and then look at the service delivery from the different BSM groups, or combining BSM groups, like the BSM group 3, where we actually take 1 and 2 equals 3, and then, as usual, you can get the output of this, can come in many formats. You can get the output over the API. You can look at it reports. You can do it in the graphs or dashboards, and of course you get the notifications. One little detail here also that might not be, that the algorithms within the BSM module is actually written in Lua. So if you have more, if you find that you want to modify the algorithms, the basic algorithms that's shipped with the module, you can do that. As long as you know your Lua and you know what you're doing, but it can be done. Right. So just a quick recap here. We support the group in group mapping of the same device to multiple devices. Of course, you have the widget showing the business on the TAC. You have the Lua script back, and then you can use Nagvis as we did, as I showed before, in different ways of visualizing this. Whether it's dashboards or geomaps or whatever, how you want to visualize it for the best, so that people understand what they're looking at the end of the day. Right. So getting to the end here, actually. What can you do now? Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, if you're not running op5 Monitor, or if you're running op5 Monitor, but you have a production and you don't want to mess with it, download the free trial from our website on our website page. It contains the BSM module. It has all the features in there, so you can play around with how much you want it, and you can actually today also you can download it, software or as a virtual server, and just so you know that you can today spin up a op5 Monitor in both Amazon Marketplace and in the Azure Service Marketplace. So if you got access to those, it'll basically take you 2 minutes to go in, search for op5 Monitor, and then spin up your machine. That'll give you free access to the BSM stuff. There is also a number of how-tos within our knowledge base. Basic, step-by-step instructions on how you can set up a BSM, a simple BSM a rule or a process. So I will recommend you also to look in here and see and just follow the guidelines. Basically, it's pretty straightforward. And last but not least, call us, talk to us. We do this regularly, help customers with thinking and setting up the BSM part. So don't hesitate. Just give us a call. And if you want us to contact you straight after here, I think Danielle, when the webinar is over, you will get like a quick sort of how did we do question at the end of that little form. You can also just click in that you want to be contacted for us to have one of our engineers to call you and talk about how you can best use the BSM part of the product in order for you to get fast into getting the benefits of what BSM can deliver to you. Okay, I'm looking at the watch here, and it's now
30 minutes.
It's now 30 minutes. I'm sorry. Maybe I was talking fast, but again, it's recorded, so we will make it available. And do we have any sort of direct questions? Let me just see if there are any on the chat. Do you know,
nope.
Danielle?
We haven't got any questions yet.
Okay.
Possible that people might need to digest all the information that they got today.
Well, that's fine.
But if there are any questions or concerns, of course, as always, you can get in touch with us at info@op5.com or through the contact form on the website. As Jan said, you'll get a survey right after the webinar, so stay tuned. And in that survey, you'll have the option to say that, yes, you are interested in getting a free BSM walkthrough.
Right.
That can be done either remotely, on-site, face-to-face. Yep. Just let us know that you're interested, and we'll get in touch, and we'll set up a meeting. So keep an eye out for that.
Right. Thanks, Danielle.
Yes, thank you, everybody, for attending. Have a great day, and I will be sending out, like I said, the slides and the recording of the webinar after this, so keep an eye out for that, too. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.